Wait, I need some music for this. I'm gonna play the light music from the game show. It's royalty free, so I love it. Wait, what about this? What about the medium music? No, medium music's pretty good. Okay, so this tier list is what are the best boss monsters? Do you guys know them? My regular Cybra and not Cydra End? Why would I put Cyber End Dragon on here? You guys don't know anything about Cyber Dragons. Where's Lunalight Leo Dancer in your mom's house? So let's go into this. It's obviously not gonna have every single boss monster in the game. It's gonna have some of them. So first up, we have, oh, you guys can't see my mouse. Okay, now you can see my mouse. First up, we have the summons, the Obelisk the Tormentor. So everybody's favorite god card. This one should obviously go in F tier because it's garbage. Next up, we have Cyber Dragon Infinity. So Cyber Dragon Infinity is an excellent boss monster. This card is responsible for a lot of cards being on the ban list. Put it in C tier. Next up, we have Thunder Dragon Colossus. So Colossus is currently banned in the TCG because it's too good, and you can go into it with Nemesis Dragon, Nemesis Corridor, especially since it can be searched out from Cupid Pitch. A tier? You guys are saying A tier? How about S tier? This is an S tier. You guys are crazy. You guys don't know anything. Okay, next up, let's go over the ABC Buster Dragons. ABC Buster Dragon used to be semi-limited. It was even limited because I thought it would be too good with Master Rule revisions off, because it would be, you know, if the format hadn't changed at all. With better cards being released since then, we had like the Orchist engine that came and went. That was crazy. Do you guys remember Orchist? The Orchist engine was so good. Every deck played it. Even non-dark decks, just because the advantage you could occur every turn was just insane. Like if you have a no ban list tournament, put the Nightmare Mermaid Orchest engine in your deck, and it will immediately be like 10 times better. Anyways, ABC Buster Dragon, it's probably B tier. Maybe A tier. This is a pretty good boss dragon. Like, still one of the most unique summoning methods where you can bring it out of the extra deck by just getting its materials into the graveyard. Which means if you get the cards on the field, you can use them for whatever play you want because you only need them in the grave. And then it recurs them too. It's really good. It's just not S tier good. Where's my super heavy samurai train monster? It's in your mom's house. So next up, we have Subterror Guru. So Guru, it's crazy. Subterrors didn't really see play until Subterror Guru came out. And Subterror Guru was so good of a boss monster, even though it's a level 4 card that just searches, that Subterrors just built their whole deck around it. the whole shebang is just Guru searching out Fiendness and locking down with negates, with floodgates, I mean, not negates, and then attacking with Final Battle. And it facilitates all of that by himself. He does need support in order to be usable, but like the whole deck is built around him. That has to be A tier. Like it's a competitive deck, which is literally built around the card. Guru, Fiendness, Subterror, Final Battle, yeah. That's a lot of boss monsters that are moms. No, it's just your specific mom, not everybody's mom. You guys, all your moms live at different houses. So this is probably A tier. I might move it down to B tier depending on the ranking of some of these other boss monsters. Competitive? Oh yeah, it just has like a million topping spots. Sure, competitive with quotation marks. Next up, we have Air Knight Parshath. You guys know this used to be a huge boss monster back in the day? Like 1900 attack, had piercing damage. You draw a card whenever it deals damage. This card was insane. It was so good in early Yu-Gi-Oh! But it's F tier. This is garbage nowadays. It's actually just bad. Like there are archetypes. It has an archetype built around it, a trap card, which can special summon it from the deck after doing an Omni Negate, and it's not played. Next up, we have Ultimate Conductor Tyranno. I use this one a lot in my videos as an example of a good boss monster. I'll put it in A tier. I think it's more of a B tier card. It's it is good, but I don't know if it's as good as like ABC Buster Dragon or Guru, you know? Like what it does is it destroys a card and then it flips all your opponent's monsters face down. And it has 3,500 attack, can attack all your opponent's monsters once each, and can send defense position monsters to the graveyard without destruction. So it sends kind of like like Zeus. Tyranno is funny to use. It's good, but like it's not A tier good. I don't know if it's on the same level as Guru. Like you can play a dinosaur deck without Tyranno Infinity, Conductor Tyranno, and still win. Whereas you can't play an ABC deck or a Subterror deck without Guru. Like Guru is so all-encompassing with Subterrors, you literally just call them Guru control decks, and you don't even mention Subterror, even though it's technically a Subterror deck. Thanks for the Prime sub in VSG96, or I mean the tier 1 sub you converted from a Prime. I guess that's what it says. Next up, Masterpiece. the True Draco Slaying King. When it comes out, it's immune to 2/3 of cards in the game, can pop cards on the field on spell speed 2. It's currently banned in the TCG and in the OCG. And I believe when MBT had his no ban list cup, True Draco deck took like first place once, because it turns out floodgates are very effective. The main power of it is it's able to be played alongside a lot of good floodgates. So S tier is probably where it belongs. Definitely above Colossus. I feel like it speaks more to the weakness of the surrounding archetype and not the strength of Guru or ABC. No. Okay, next up we have Twin Barrel Dragon, another F tier. This one used to be another like staple card. It was like a high attack monster that could destroy spell traps. And as long as you got 2 heads on your dice rolls, on your coin tosses, I mean. It was also a boss monster in Duel Links too. Yeah, Blowback Dragon, I think that's his name. He was really good, but he's S tier now. He's not good anymore because he only has a chance to destroy a card, but there's no cost to it. That's still a good, like, if it didn't have the coin flip effect, it would be a decent card. It's F tier. Okay, next up, Gate Guardian. So Gate Guardian has the effect that you can send its 3 materials from your hand to the graveyard to special summon it from the deck. Then it has to be destroyed 3 times before it goes to the graveyard. And then it has an effect to flood the field with water. And another one to redirect effects with its breath attack. And another one to shock your opponent literally, where if they have like a heart condition, they might actually die. So S tier? I think so. Like, this card is kind of broken. That's how it works in the anime. In the actual game, it doesn't do anything. In fact, it requires the monsters to be on your side of the field already. And you don't even have the rule where you can just normal summon without tributes. So I think it's F tier in the real world. How could you not put A to Z Buster Dragon on this list? Shameful. It's because it's in your mom's house. Next up, we have Apocalyphort Towers. No, Apocalyphort. Apocalyphort. Yeah, it's pronounced like apocalypse, but flort. Apocalyphort Towers. So as everybody knows, this card is immune to all card effects, except for those of monsters who have a higher level and or rank than it, and it's level 10. So I think it's level 10 and higher, right? I can't remember if it's equal to or higher or just higher. But when Link monsters came out, it no longer became immune to everything, so it's not that big a deal. Plus, you can just be destroyed by battle. Apocalyphort. Shut up. So we'll put this one in C tier, maybe F tier. I'll put it in C tier for now. Yeah, a C tier. If C tier, I don't know if it's should be next to Cyber Dragon Infinity, because Infinity is better than this. I'll put Infinity in B tier, just so it's not next to Apocalyphort, which is not as good. Bujin Yamato. Yamato is basically like the old version of Guru Control. Basically, Yamato was you use the card and you draw a card, you search a card from your deck, then you discard a card, which sets up your graveyard with Bujin cards, which can protect your Yamato, where you have a crane in the hand so it can't be destroyed by battle, and then you have a hare in the graveyard so it can't be destroyed by card effects, a turtle so it can't be, you can just negate effects that target it. But we have like non-target banish effects like Shiraig in the game, which would completely destroy it. However, that's not super common. I think its protection would still not be half bad. He's kind of like Guru, if Guru wasn't good. So we can put him in F tier. He used to be a decent card, not anymore. You can destroy anything with more than 3600 attack. Oh, that's pretty easy to get in today's metagame. Next up, we have Spiral Sleeper. So Spiral Sleeper is usually equipped with a card which makes it immune to being destroyed. So what he does is on a quick effect, he can destroy 2 of your opponent's cards and 1 of your cards during your opponent's turn. It's like the evolved version of quick effects. Like when Sleeper came out, boss monsters used to have quick effects. Like there was Zodiac Trident and Masterpiece, which were like the boss monsters at the time when this card came out. And they both had quick effects to destroy 1 card. And then Sleeper comes out and it destroys 2 cards during your opponent's turn. And that was not the good part about Spirals, surprisingly enough. So we'll put it in C tier. It's funny that when Sleeper came out, people were like, oh no, this is going to be the evolution of power creep for boss monsters. They're going to all pop 2 cards now during your opponent's turn. But no, that kind of just ended with Sleeper. And then Zeus came out, which is on the list, I believe. Where's Madolce Queen Tiramisu? At your mom's house. Next up, we have Quasar Dragon. Quasar used to be a win condition because he was a boss monster that was hard to go into, that had an Omni negate and could attack twice. And if it left the field, it floated into another strong monster. Like, its form of floating floating effects was very good. Basically, think Despia's. Despia's kind of copied Quasar Dragon when it comes to their floating effects. One of the good things about Despia is how they float basically no matter how you remove them from the field, and this was the same. Yeah, made a mistake. Omni Negate accessible. Quasar was the boss monster with an Omni Negate. That was not normal back in the day. So it was like a win condition to go into, kind of like it's a win condition to go into like a bunch of negates nowadays. It's just you can go into them much easier. Like you can go into a Barone with just generic level 10 materials. Why would you bother with an Omni Negate like Quasar, which requires all Synchro monsters as his materials, when you can just go into a Barone instead, or a Borosword Dragon. No, Borolo Dragon, I believe. So Quasar goes in F tier, right next to the Gate Guardian. Next up, we have Grenmaju. Grenmaju's hilarious. Its only effect is to just increase its attack. That's it. It only has an attack boost. It can't special summon itself. It has no protection, and it's a great boss monster. We'll put it in C tier next to Sleeper. It's just a big beat stick, and the reason it's good is because Konami printed a lot of cards which are really good staples that have downsides to banish a ton of cards in order to use them. Like Gizmek Orochi, Pot of Desires, and Eater of Millions. And because those cards can just get a whole bunch of cards banished and you just drop your normal summon with Grenmaju, you can just clear your opponent's negates and then just attack once and win. Stromberg, modern Grenmaju decks don't really play Stromberg. They don't need it. You have enough banished with Gizmek, Eater of Millions. Next up, we have Red Eye's Dark Dragoon. I think this is A tier. Maybe S tier. It's funny, this card, before Verte was banned, didn't see very much play in the TCG. And it's currently banned in Master Duel and in the OCG for being too strong of a boss monster. Next up, oh wait, A tier sounds good for this. Next up, we have Herald of Ultimateness. Herald of Ultimateness has the effect to negate anything or negate a summon, and all you have to do is just discard one fairy from your hand. Oh my goodness gracious. However, it is a level 12 ritual monster, and as we all know, level 12 rituals are the hardest ones to go into because that requires a lot of tributes. Unless you use Drytrons, because it only has 2,000 attack, which is the perfect amount for just a single Drytron tribute, especially since you can just bring it out from the graveyard. It's so easy to go into, it's crazy. And it was definitely bounced around not being easy to go into. So Drytron, Herald of, oh, it should just be called the Drytron of Ultimateness. We'll put this one in B tier, it's all right, I guess. Okay, next up, we have Zodiac Trident. It's an easy S tier. So the reason for this, Zodiac Trident was broken back in the day when it was only used for its intended purpose of just being a pop. It's an easy to go into spell speed 2 destruction effect that you can go into with any cards, any one Zodiac card. And you had Trident. So if you just played a Zodiac Engine, which could get a Zodiac monster on the field, which was easy with Zodiac Barrage, you had a spell speed 2 destruction effect. It was like an easier to bring out Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. Then it got banned, and then it got unbanned, and then some other cards came out, and then it was banned again, and then they banned even more cards. Currently, Zodiacs are hit harder than they were back in their heyday, because they're still good. It's crazy that Zodiacs, what is it, 7 years later, because I think they came out in 2015, are still really good. They're crazy. Who would have thought one card XC summons were just that powerful? Especially one card XC summons which could XC summon on top of themselves. So we have Zodiac Trident in S tier. It's crazy good. They banned Ratpier from Master Duel to keep Trident in the game. Is that why? I mean, Ratpier can't do anything on one copy. The Zodiacs are insanely broken. Yeah, it's funny. Whenever someone says, oh, this is going to be the next Zodiacs, it's like, no. There is no next Zodiacs. Zodiacs are Zodiacs. Next up, we have Powered Firewall Dragon. OG Firewall Dragon was an S tier. Eroded Firewall Dragon is an F tier. We currently have the Eroded Firewall Dragon, so it's F tier. This is easy. That's because its effect sucks. It just summons Cyberus monsters from your hand. Who cares about that? Next up, we have Vampire Lore. Why do I have so many old cards on here? This card was a goat back in early Yu-Gi-Oh! If this card is destroyed by a card effect, it comes back. and it has 2000 attack, which means it can beat over any level 4 or lower monster, which was what would be on the field most of the time, because there was a lot of destruction in early Yu-Gi-Oh! Because you had Dark Hole, you had Raigeki, you had Mirror Force, you had Fissure, you had Trap Hole. Like, the main way of destroying cards was by card effect. They didn't have no compulsory evacuation device to bounce. They didn't have Bottomless Trap Hole yet. They didn't have Shiraig, the Ominous Omen. They had destruction effects, and that's it. So this card was unbeatable. You had to destroy it by battle. Otherwise, it would just keep coming back. It's F tier, it's garbage. Next up, we have Shockmaster. This is another easy S tier. Shockmaster is so good, it will never be unbanned. You think VFD is strong? Oh boy, you don't even know what Shockmaster is. Shockmaster has the effect where it you can detach one of its materials in order to call a type of card, and then your opponent cannot use that type of card for the next 2 turns. The current turn you're on, and then the next turn. So the type of cards include spells, traps, and monsters. So obviously you just call monsters and you win. They can't use them for the turn you use it, and they can't use it on their next turn. It's a better VFD, and it's easier to go into since it just requires any 3 level 4 monsters. Why people trying to unlock the shock thinking this card would be okay to bring back? Because they're dumb. People say unban Max C too. So easy S tier. It's the best one on this list. None of these other cards even come close to it. Let's go over to Judgment Dragon. Judgment Dragon has an effect to pay 1,000 life points to destroy all other cards on the field except for itself. It has 3,000 attack. It can special summon itself from the hand if you just have 4 or more Lightsworn monsters with different names in your graveyard. And none of its effects are once per turn. You can bring out 3 copies of Judgment Dragon from your hand if you have them, because they all meet the same conditions. You can use the effect as many times per turn as you want to just keep blowing up your opponent's field in case they have floating effects. And it's the entire field. 1,000 life points, the whole field gone. It's a pitiful low amount of life points. Like, there's a reason this card was semi-limited, because Lightsworn, their boss monster, was so good. This is garbage in modern Yu-Gi-Oh! It's F tier. Nobody would play this. It's a main deck monster. Ew, you have to set up your graveyard with 4 cards? That's too much. You have to special summon it from your hand. It doesn't have any protection. It can just be negated. Absolute garbage card. Next up, we have Dark Law. Dark Law is a floodgate. It's a floodgate that also has like an Ash Blossom effect attached to it. So it's a one-sided Macrocosmos. Macrocosmos is a very good floodgate, which makes it so your opponent, all their cards are banished. And also, if your opponent tries to search, you can randomly banish 1 card from your opponent's hand. It has a hand rip effect, which has the condition of Ash Blossom, the most used card in the game. It is so good that Mass Change number 2 is semi-limited in Master Duel, so that people can't go into Dark Law too easily. So B tier probably? Maybe A tier, I don't know. It's either A or B tier. You guys are saying A tier. Is it as good as Dragoon though? I don't know. I think it's a B tier. It's probably B. Let's go to Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. So this card right now, oh man, this card is good. I don't know if you guys have heard this card before, but it's Destiny Hero Destroyer Phoenix Enforcer. It's from the Destiny Hero archetype. It has an effect where you can destroy 2 cards in the field, just as long as one of them is on your side of the field. It doesn't target. And also, if it's destroyed, it comes back during your next standby phase. Or you can choose something else to come back, because it just special summons a Destiny Hero monster from your graveyard. And you can bring it out with Fusion Destiny, since it just summons it with materials from the deck, which can also be sent with PREDAPLANT, VERTE, ANACONDA, as long as you're playing Master Duel, since that card was banned in the TCG. It's just a really easy card to go into, which is good. It's a good card that's easy to go into, so it just gives you a free pop every turn, as long as you target itself and one of your opponent's cards. And since it can destroy itself and then proc its own revival effect, it can be used to dodge removal. So your opponent kind of needs 2 forms of removal in order to stop DPE, and one of those have to be something that doesn't destroy it. Or if you do destroy it, you have to negate its effect in the graveyard with like an Ash Blossom, no, a Ghost Spell. So like, its staying power is the fact that it has a good effect and also is very hard to get rid of. It's like Zodiac Trident on legs. It's on steroids almost. I'm thinking A tier. A tier sounds appropriate. It's really good, but is it S tier good? Trident's better for different reasons. Trident is even easier to go into. A low S tier? Low S tier is probably right, but I'm gonna leave it in A tier because it's right next to Dragoon. I think Dragoon's probably better. Next up, we have Rongominiad. This is an S tier card. Rongo Miniat has the effect where if it has 5 or more materials attached to it, your opponent can't summon monsters. It's immune to all card effects. Once per turn, you can destroy your opponent's entire field. It can't be destroyed by battle, and it has 3,000 attack and defense. So it's basically, if you get it out with 5 materials, you win as long as you're able to put enough damage on board in order to win in that turn, which is pretty easy. The card is supposed to be hard to come out because it requires warrior monsters as materials, but you can choose that with Gossip Shadow real easily too. Like Gossip Shadow just attaches 3 materials to it. I don't know what the hell they were thinking with that. Without Gossip Shadow, this card is not S tier. With Gossip Shadow, it kind of is, just because it's so annoying. You just can't come back from it. Next up, we have Dark Armed Dragon. This card was so good, it created a tier 0 format where every deck was a variation of Dark Armed Dragon. It has the effect where if you have exactly 3 dark monsters in your graveyard, you can special summon it from your hand. And then it has the non-once per turn effect to banish a dark monster from your grave to destroy 1 card on the field. So it was crazy. It allowed you to selectively destroy your opponent's cards. This card existed in the same time period as Judgment Dragon, where Judgment Dragon could destroy all cards on the field. You could also bring out all Judgment Dragons from your hand, and it just required 1 more monster in the graveyard than Dark Armed Dragon. But the reason Dark Armed Dragon saw more play was because dark monsters are better than the Lightsworn archetype, because it just required dark monsters, whereas Judgment Dragon required a specific archetype to be in the graveyard. And since there were just so many better dark monsters in the synchros that came out, it was just the perfect storm of the card being really good and there being lots of support in order to support it. Yeah, dark monsters are so broken, many of them are banned. Exactly. So, Dark Armed Dragon itself is also an F tier garbage card. Nobody plays it. Next up, we have Cyber Dragon. Oh, Cyber Dragon, so good it actually changed the game. Like, the game was forever changed by just how powerful Cyber Dragon was. Cyber Dragon is a 2100 attack monster that can special summon itself from your hand as long as your opponent controls more monsters than you do and you have no monsters on your side of the field. It was basically a 2100 attack monster that did not require a tribute. So it could beat over any level 4 or lower monster in the game without using your normal summon, because you can then also normal summon afterwards to bring out your own level 4 or lower normal monster. Or to just use it as tribute to bring out Summon Skull or whatever the hell, like Jinzo. It was just so good that the game just revolved around Cyber Dragon. Sometimes you wouldn't summon a monster on your first turn just so your opponent could not Cyber Dragon you. But yeah, F tier, garbage card. I bet Cyber Dragons wish they didn't have to play it. Summon Skull. Oh man, this was the OG boss monster. 2500 attack, requires 1 tribute. It was just the highest amount of attack points you can get for a single tribute. And F tier, obviously that's garbage. You don't want to play it. Like even in decks that can play a card that floats into it from anywhere, they won't play it just because they don't want to ever draw into it. Next up, we have BLS, Blackluster Soldier, Envoy of the Beginning. This card was the staple boss monster. Everybody included in their deck. People, if they had a single light monster and they could potentially go into a dark monster because of their extra deck, they would play this card just so they could bring it out. It has, its effect is it special summons from the hand if you have a light and dark monster in your graveyard and you banish both of them. It has 3000 attack. If it attacks and destroys a monster, it can attack again in a row, which can be directly, or it can give up its attack in order to banish 1 card in the field. So it could either just like destroy like crazy and deal a bunch of battle damage, kind of like a Borosword Dragon, or it could just banish a problem card. Yeah, it was the OG DPE. Everybody included it. Like it was limited to 1 copy for a long time, and it was just the 1 copy to include in all your decks. BLS is the access code. Yeah, he was basically like the access code of the old day. He was just so good. And if you equipped him with Armory Arm, it was an instant win, no matter what cards your opponent had in attack position. So obviously this card is F tier, it's garbage, nobody plays it. Why would you? It's terrible, it's a main deck monster. Absolute garbage card. Not even Chaos decks play it. They play Levianeer instead. A high F? Pfft. You think this thing is as good as Yamato? You know, maybe we can put it in C tier, but I don't think it's as good as Gren Maju, you know? Levianeer was added to Duel Links before BLS. Yeah, that was funny. Because Levianeer is better. Put him in C tier at least? I think we can go with that. Funny thing is, Dark Armed Dragon was also limited for a very long time. It didn't come off until like in the modern day. It's just being able to destroy your opponent's cards for the main deck monster is kind of slow because you can do the same thing with Access Code Talker. Next up, we have Mechaba. Mechaba is the boss monster of the Alistair Invoker engine. It's a negate that banishes the card afterwards, so it's a really good removal. You guys are saying B tier? You guys think this is as good as Dark Law? You guys honestly think Mechaba is as good as Dark Law, or Cyber Dragon Infinity, or Superconductor Tyranno? I'd say yeah, that sounds about right. It's about that good. Especially since you can go into it very easily too. Like the ease of availability definitely contributes to a card's power level. That's the only reason people play DPE. Next up, we have Divine Serpent Ge. It literally has infinite attack points. Like, you can't beat that. Also, if a card you control is destroyed, you can just pay half the life points to special summon it. It can't be targeted by card effects. And if it attacks something, it can gain attack equal to the highest original attack on the field. And also, it can cut the attack of the monster it's attacking in half. And also, it negates their effects. It's so good, and it can't be targeted. Did I mention that? Yeah, no, I'm just kidding. F tier, right next to Summon Skull. Next up, we have Chaos Emperor Dragon, Envoy of the End. If this card did not receive an errata, I would definitely put this in A tier, maybe S tier. It has the effect to destroy all cards in the field and in both players' hands, and then inflict damage to your opponent equal to 300 times the amount of cards sent to the graveyard. But it doesn't do that anymore. Now it only inflicts damage based on your opponent's cards, and you can only use the effect if you've used no other effects that turn, and it also locks you out of other effects for the turn. So it's just too hard to set up. Where if you do use it, you can't use any of your effects that turn, so your turn is over. So your opponent gets a chance to draw a card and then come back. So you can no longer Yada lock with it. So there are some people who have played the card in their decks purely because of its stats. and it's like, and its value and everything, because it can be searched with Melody of the Awakened Dragon. And it's a free special summon by just banishing 2 cards from your graveyard. Like, it's funny to think that this card sometimes is just seen play for its body and summoning condition, because you can't really use the effect anymore, when back in the day, pre-errata, like, it could do that and have that crazy overpowered effect. Like, Chaos Emperor Dragon was Yu-Gi-Oh! Hitting its power creep early. Like, they had cards like Vampire Knight and Air Knight Parshath running around, and then they print this. It was like, what the hell, Konami? How can you print this alongside Air Knight Parshath? Like, they are in different dimensions of playability. What were you thinking? This is an early card. It came out in like one of the early sets of the game. The Chaos set was like one of the highest power creep sets ever. Next up, we have Super Great King Magnus, Great King Magnus. This card is, thanks for the sub, Q9-fold. This card right here, someone found a way to turbo it out and like won an event, because nobody could deal with a 4,600 attack monster that was immune to, no, I think it's only 3,600 attack. No one could deal with an Ultimate Falcon. They didn't have Access Kotaku or Borrow's Sword Dragon back then, or even Utopia the Lightning. Like, we have so many outs to unbeatable boss monsters nowadays, it's kind of funny. But back then, they didn't. This card kind of popularized the use of kaijus, because kaijus did exist, it's just nobody used them. Because why would you? Why would you waste up a card in your hand to give your opponent a big monster, just to get rid of one monster when you can just destroy your opponent's entire field instead? It was Great Magnus who taught people to fear immune boss monsters, because he also had a quick effect to spin one of your opponent's cards, which is the best form of removal. Thanks for the sub, Loving Harmonia. So, obviously this card should deserve some praise for being so influential to the course of the game's history. You can thank this card for people playing kaijus. F tier, garbage card, nobody plays it. Next up, we have Ultimate Falcon. This is the card, this is the measuring stick. If something is immune to card effects, you call it an Ultimate Falcon, because it's one of the easiest cards to bring out that is immune to all card effects, that also has a high attack point value. Because if you have the availability to cheat a card out of your extra deck, you can bring out Ultimate Falcon, which will have the effect to be immune to card effects while having 3,500 attack, which is a benefit. It's so good that you kind of have to play cards like Access Code Talker or Borrow's Sword Dragon or Underworld Goddess just to get rid of the potential of your opponent having an Ultimate Falcon in their deck. So because of that, we're gonna put it in C tier. Actually pretty good. Not have bad target for Miwa. Miwa Bella. You are absolutely worthless. You piece of garbage. How dare you? You knock off Mogu model. I hope you stub your toe in the morning tomorrow. Anyways, thanks for coming, Miwa. Dude, you guys should watch Miwa's stream. She's so funny. Yeah, someone give her a shout out. You guys would love her. Is there no cooldown on that? So let's continue on with this tier list. Next up, we have Zeus. So Zeus, I'm just gonna put it in S tier. Like, let's not play around here. Zeus is responsible for Zodiac's being good again. Zeus is the boss monster to go into if you have the availability to just go into an XYZ monster. It sends all cards on the field to the graveyard without destroying them. It is the best form of removal you can have on a boss monster, and it's quick effect. It's like Judgment Dragon if priority still existed. Like, removing priority kind of destroyed Judgment Dragon. Like, part of the reason it was really good was because you could activate the effect as soon as it hit the field, and your opponent couldn't respond to it yet. Zeus can do that, and without destroying, he gets by pretty much all forms of removal prevention. Like, Zeus gets rid of the Dark Magician Dragon thing. It's so good, and you can go into it by just having any XYZ monster survive a battle. It doesn't have to be your own. You can attack into your opponent's XYZ monsters and then go into an XYZ monster during the main phase 2 and go into Zeus. Zeus also has a second effect, which, now that I think about it, would be a good question for who wants to be a Millennium Heir. It has a second effect. It does. It has a second effect to attach materials to itself. There's Zeus. Next up, we have Ophion. This card right here, while it's out, your opponent can't summon level 5 or higher monsters. So it saw niche play during Dragon Ruler format because it could stop Dragon Rulers from hitting the field. However, Dragon Rulers in spellbooks were so much better that they still won. Like, they topped events purely because they could sometimes steal wins from Dragon Rulers or spellbooks. Because even spellbooks went into level 7 higher monsters. Like, they had a boss monster they used to use, which was level 7, could special summon itself from the hand, and once per turn destroy one of your opponent's cards on a spell speed 1 effect. Which is laughable by today's standards, but that was really good back then. That was, like, you know, on top of having Spellbook of Judgment, like, that was amazing. And Ophion stopped all of that. It also allowed you to search out Infestation, which is a quick play spell card that made it immune to spell traps for a turn, and all your other Ice-Sworn monsters, or L-Sworn. Discard Blaster plus Fire destroys Ophion. Yep, pretty much. Like, they had an out. It's just, if they didn't use Blaster's effect to destroy, like, say, for example, because it was in the graveyard, because you could only use Blaster's discard effect, which meant from the hand. Well, there's a reason they wasn't a complete counter to Dragon Rulers. So we're gonna get Ophion the respect it deserves and put it in F tier alongside Great Magnus. Lastly, we have Eldritch the Golden Lord. I think this one is either a C or B tier. It's kind of like Guru, where the whole archetype revolves around it, but not real. It's more like the whole archetype revolves around bringing it out, and he can come out and be a big beat stick, but it's not the same as Guru. Like, Guru, you can't have the archetype without Guru. With Eldritch, you could have the archetype without Eldritch if there just existed any other Eldritch monsters. Like, it's good, but its support cards are what's good. And he doesn't really help the support cards very much. It's just the support cards he has are so good that they kind of carry Eldritch on their back. But Eldritch himself is not half bad. All right. And this is the tier list. So, do you guys have any complaints or questions about this? What should we move around? Where's VFD and Chaos Max? At your mom's house. Mother Spider triple S tier? No, Mother Spider sucks. It would be in trash tier. Despot 009. That's not a boss monster. You guys are just asking for things that aren't on the tier list. You guys don't understand how a tier list works. It's made time? Okay, here you go. Oh wait, I don't have it on this. I have to swap it over to this to get made time. There we go. Where's Prime Photon Dragon? I don't know. Tiramisu is too good for this list. It should be an F tier. Man, Spider is hot. No first Dark Lord. This is F tier. Go ahead and give me boss monster names, and I'll tell you what tier they go into. I want God Slime. God Slime is also F tier. Where's Time Thief Redoer? Ooh, that's a good one. We could put that in C tier. Todoli Awesome. Oh, that could go in A tier. Easy. Where's Red Supernova Dragon? In F tier. Are they all F tier? Yeah, pretty much. True King of all Virtual Worlds. VFD would be S tier. The Arrival? The Arrival would be F tier. It's a garbage card. What about Dirac Titanio? Garbage, F tier. Supreme King Zark, also F tier. Winda, F tier. Well, actually, no, that's more of a C tier card. Shen Shen? No comment. I feel like I might get ire if I tell you that one. Leah would murder you? She doesn't watch my stream, so she'll never find out. Mathmech Final Sigma? Oh, that's a good one. Baylor Drotch is really good. Baylor Drotch is like, he comes back every turn. He has a negate and a banish. maybe C tier. Mirror Jade? Oh yeah, Mirror Jade should have been on here. We could put Mirror Jade in A tier along with DPE and Dragoon. Psychic Punisher? Is that the punk boss monster? He's not in Master Duel, so I don't know what he does. Spriggan's Exablower? Oh, no comment. If I give it a rating, I might be sad. Nature Exterio? F tier. Yugioh? F tier. Trishula? B tier. Dante? F tier.
What the hell is this?
Access Code? Access Code, I guess he counts. He would be A tier. Crusadia Avermax? Oh, I guess that is a boss monster. Avermax could be C tier. Dingirsu? C tier. The Blue Eyes Ultimate Dragon? F tier, he's garbage. Appaloosa? Oh, Appaloosa could be B tier for sure. The King of the Skull Servants? F tier. Utopia Double OTK? Utopia Double could be a boss monster. A tier. Infinitrack Megaclops? Ooh, I love Megaclops. F tier. Cyberdark End Dragon? Oh, that's a good one. C tier. Tenyi Draco Berserker? C tier. King of the Skull Servants being F is both understandable and makes me sad. What do you expect? It's just a big old beat stick. And it's not even a good beat stick like Gren Maju. Shiraig? Ooh, Shiraig's a good one. I would give Shiraig C tier. Drytron Metunos Draconids, garbage card. F tier. Exodia Necros? Obviously that's F tier. It's a garbage card. One of the worst cards in the game. Numeron Dragon? Ooh, that's a good one. Maybe C tier. Changying? Changying, that's a level 10 one, right? That one's pretty good. F tier. Arc Rebellion XYZ Dragon? Oh, that one could probably be C tier. That's a really good one. Machina Citadel? Citadel's good, right? I vaguely remember its name. Okay. I think this is enough for the tier list. Obviously, my opinions are fact. I am a spider who lives on the moon. And as such, I just know more than humans.